Mike Tyson's professional career remains a subject of study to this day. As the youngest heavyweight champion in history, his glory years extended beyond his first decade in the discipline, unlike many others. His fists kept him relevant for more years than any other boxer of his generation. There were truly few opponents who could pose a threat to the Beast, Iron Mike, in the ring, and precisely, we bring you the account of what happened before and during his confrontation with one of them. Hope you're sitting down, because the level of violence in this bout will make you lose all sense of familiar stability. In the years leading up to the encounter, Tyson's life had been more than controversial. His personal issues had led him to disappear from the boxing rings after his imprisonment. Far from giving up on what he does best, Tyson emerged from prison on March 25, 1995, and almost immediately began a journey that would bring him back to glory. A year later, on March 16, 1996, Mike would enter the ring to face Frank Bruno, a fight he won by technical knockout in the third round, reclaiming the World Boxing Council heavyweight title.
Tyson knows it. Tyson trying to attack now to finish him off. Oh, he's ready to go. He hits him with the right hand. Oops. Scores with the uppercut. Lands a big right hand. Bruno's in big trouble now. Bruno knows he's got him in big trouble. If he doesn't answer it, Richard Steele.
His next victim would be Bruce Seldon, who faced Tyson on October 7, 1996, only to be defeated by technical knockout in the first round of the bout, a result that helped the Beast, Iron Mike, regain the World Boxing Association heavyweight title.
Look how he stands straight up there. Now that's not... Oh, down goes Bruce Seldon. He had a nice long rest there, but he has felt... Back comes Seldon. And Tyson with a left.
Far from feeling satisfied, Tyson decided to relinquish the World Boxing Council title to fight against Evander Holyfield instead of his mandatory challenger, Lennox Lewis. This brings us to the events of November 9, 1996, when, at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Mike Tyson would face Evander Holyfield for the first time under the gaze of a crowd of over 16,000 attendees. With Dalby Shirley, Jerry Roth, and Federico Vollmer as judges and Mitch Halpern as the referee, this encounter would become one of the toughest to assimilate in the entire professional career of the man remembered as the youngest heavyweight champion in history. Among other milestones during the glory years he refused to let go. After the bell sounded, starting the first round, Tyson could have ended the fight in the first second by launching a violent attack, mercilessly delivered to a Holyfield who did not expect the bout to escalate so quickly. Adapting seamlessly to the fight's pace imposed by Mike, Holyfield began an offensive that made it clear he would not surrender without putting up a fight.
Mike Tyson, tira a la izquierda de Evander Holyfield, en el centro del ring, el gancho de izquierda de Mike Tyson, sale, está en todo lo alto la emoción, Evander Holyfield.
Second round, and Holyfield had no intention of being surprised again by Mike. Throwing the first punch, he set the tone for the intense close combat that would unfold in the next minutes. Suffering against the ropes for almost a minute in the third round, Tyson had to rethink his strategy if he didn't want to be cornered again and possibly defeated.
Evander Holyfield está boceando, llegó a la izquierda de Holyfield, ha llegado a la izquierda de Holyfield y le tiene contra las cuerdas a Mike Tyson. Esto es nuevo, es noticia. Tyson contra las cuerdas, mete el gancho de...
The third episode, and Holyfield seemed like an unstoppable machine. For the first time since his comeback, the balance seemed not to tilt towards Mike's corner, and his violent attitude and imposing presence were not enough to intimidate a rival who was beginning to tame the beast. Tyson became more cautious in the fourth round, but his new attitude only led him to be pressed against the ropes again. The level of aggression in Holyfield's offense was such that it seemed to render any strategy Mike had in mind useless. With body shots during the fifth round, Tyson aimed to work for a late victory as he had achieved in some of his professional career.
Evander Holyfield ha cambiado la táctica en este quinto asalto. A Evander Holyfield le llegó a la mandíbula, mete los dos ganchos y la percada derecha. Ahora ya no puede quedarse, que viene cruzado a la derecha Mike Tyson.
However, Holyfield's guard was as good as his offense, so the damage inflicted on his opponent was not significant. The sixth round had to be stopped by Halpern. Tyson had an alarming cut over his left eyebrow, and to determine if he was fit to continue, the evaluation of his corner's doctor was requested.
Mentón de Evander Holyfield. Nuevamente piden, tiene un corte. Esos que tiene un corte.
When the fight resumed, Holyfield showed no mercy to an opponent whose damage was already becoming evident. And after a left hook, he sent the great Iron Mike to take another break, this time on the canvas.
Empieza a llover bastante menos. Se fue a la lona Mike Tyson. Llegó el...
Resuming the fight, time worked against Holyfield to finish what he had started. Pummeling Tyson against the ropes, the bell rang, and it was time to release his prey for now.
Vuelve a la carga, Evander Holyfield ha llegado con manos claras. La izquierda nuevamente, qué cambio de golpe.
Mike entered the 7th round terribly damaged, with the image of having gone down for the first time in 6 years. It was clear that, on the judges' scorecard, Holyfield was securing the victory. Now, the living legend needed a stroke of luck to put his opponent on the ground. But far from that, he only received a strong headbutt that left him with a contusion that needed to be examined by his doctor before he could continue. The 8th round was opened by a right from Tyson, telling everyone present that they hadn't seen the last of him. Holyfield, still with plenty of energy, looked better than his rival. With punches going back and forth, it resulted in the most stable round of the fight so far.
Holyfield empieza a boxear a Mike Tyson, intenta entrar Tyson. Más entrar en la distancia, ahí se tragó una mano, saca 2 o 3 ganchos por fuera, estira a la derecha.
Tyson buscó activamente conectar un golpe a la cabeza de Holyfield durante todo.
With some relatively successful attempts, he failed to find that opportunity that would change the course of the bout.
Cruza nuevamente a la derecha el terror del Garden, sacó el gancho de contra. Toca con la izquierda, arriba, gritos de Holyfield. Intercambio de...
During the 10th round, it became obvious that Evander Holyfield had no intention of letting the fight rest. When he wasn't stoking the flames with strong attacks, he energetically moved around the ring to close Tyson's window of opportunities to launch a good attack. Far from seeming to understand what was happening, Mike, who had been returning to his corner increasingly exhausted during the breaks of the last rounds, was very close to experiencing one of the most tragic scenarios of his professional career. The last 15 seconds of the round were crucial. With a right, Holyfield managed to make Tyson stagger until he was caught by the ropes. Again, the sound of the bell was the only thing saving him from a punishment from which, otherwise, he might not have been able to escape.
Esa combinación durísima, la derecha, Tyson se va. Evander Holyfield va a tratar de apagar la última. Se puede repetir la noche de todo. Esto se han apagado las luces para el campeón del mundo. Se le están apagando todas.
El 11º episodio se abrió con mucha expectativa. Holyfield saltó de su esquina en búsqueda de la tercera oportunidad de acabar con Tyson antes de dejar su victoria.
After a strong combination of punches, Tyson would stagger again until being caught by the ropes, and Holyfield would pursue him like a predator hungry for victory. Under the brutality of the events, Halpern noticed that the strength of the great Iron Mike had been reduced to dust and his guard was shattered. It was then that he made the decision to stop the fight in order to prevent unnecessary damage.
Tyson, lejos de molestarse por la decisión, caminó con su último aliento hacia su esquina, con los guantes caídos y sin fuerza para levantarlos, resignándose a haber sido derrotado por una máquina.
Against all odds, 10 rounds after Tyson's brutal initial attack, Evander Holyfield would be the one to surprise the thousands present and the millions watching from home, rightfully defeating the favorite, the unparalleled, the living legend, Mike Tyson. Tyson, after a good streak of victories, tarnished his professional record by not only adding a loss but by being part of a spectacle that would haunt him every night as he went to bed since then. It was precisely because he could never decipher the right fighting rhythm or the opportune moments to attack Evander Holyfield that it is considered Mike Tyson's most aggressive fight. Throwing punches left and right, he encountered a much more aggressive opponent than him who would teach him the feeling he had generated in so many, not only years ago, a few months earlier when he was reclaiming world titles. If you've made it this far, we thank you, and we remind you that the best way to support our content is by leaving your like and subscribing to our channel, activating the notification bell. Imagining that the fight had reached the final stages, which of these two monsters do you think the judge's decision would have favored? We'll read your thoughts in the comments.